Let's bring in our guest from Tehran, Mostafa Khoshcheshm. He's a professor at the University of Applied Science and Technology. From London, Michael Stevens. He's a senior associate fellow at the Royal United Services Institute for Defense and Security Studies. Welcome to Al Jazeera. Thanks for your time. Over to Iran first. Can I get your reaction on what President Trump had to say?
Hello, and thanks for having me. Well, this is no strange. Donald Trump never says that he's been defeated, no matter what happens on the ground. In reality, whenever he's defeated, still he claims victory. Now, according to international media outlets, especially even the Western media outlets, as well as ship control and monitoring centers, the Strait of Hormuz is shut down and is under Iranian control. Even a few, like 3-4 ships that go through every now and then, they go through the Strait through the Iranian corridor, and they are mostly Iranian or Iraqi vessels. So Donald Trump, it's quite a long time that Donald Trump has lost this game and this war, and he still insists on finding, an exit door to claim victory, but he fails again and again. Even his top general has been said in the media outlets in the United States that he's looking for an exit door. Everybody is calling on Trump to stop going down in this mud and leave the region. But apparently he is not going to do so. They have ordered the U.S. embassies in the region to operate in minimum numbers, meaning that he's preparing for a larger scale attack in coming weeks or months.
Okay, let's bring in London. Michael Stevens, look, there is some reporting that suggests that Iran is attempting to also prolong the war. That's until Trump himself leaves office on January 20 in 2029. And Iran is also shifting from defense to offense, right? But the longer the U.S. maintains its blockade of the Strait, the more difficult it becomes for Iran economically, does it not?
I mean, it's difficult for both sides. And in terms of winners and losers, I don't think anyone's really winning at the moment because we are in a stalemate. We're totally stuck. Right? The Americans cannot shift Iranian control of the Strait of Hormuz. But of course, if there was to be a straight fight or a naval battle, of course, the US has the assets to win that battle. And so the blockade of Iran's control also kind of works. And no one seems to be able to gain the upper hand. The Americans claim that there is a route out. The Iranians are saying there are no talks. The Pakistani mediators are hinting that both sides would like to extend the ceasefire, but we've not seen that agreement reached. And there's clearly an American version of events and an Iranian version of events. And for the last 6 months, those two versions of events have not really lined up. It doesn't help, Doreen, that Trump keeps changing his version of what the truth is. And so we don't know really what American conditions for success look like because he keeps changing the game and he keeps looking for a quick way out and then saying he's won when he hasn't. So at the moment, it's looking very stuck. The Iranians, I think, are the longer this game goes on, or at least this standoff goes on, the more the Iranians are in the upper hand.
Mostafa Khoshcheshm, are you getting a sense from being in Tehran whether Iran does indeed want to extend the ceasefire?
I don't know, but it depends on many things. Like, if the current situation goes on and the Strait of Hormuz is shut down, definitely it's in Iran's interest because crude prices will go up. And then Iran will have the upper hand. But in the meantime, we know that it's season for refinery quotas right now. So if there is war, the crude prices will go above 100 to 110, and that's very crucial and hazardous to Donald Trump's economic policies and his power and in the public opinion in the United States. So I believe the ceasefire serves Donald Trump's interest now, but in the long run, if the Strait is kept like this closed, yes, it will definitely serve Iran's interest. But Iran wants peace. It doesn't want war. But everyone now here is coming up with this idea that the United States is preparing for a larger scale attack after this season of refinery quotas.
Just very briefly, Mostafa, before I bring in Michael Stevens, what are you basing that on? What are you basing that on when you say everyone is kind of preparing for that?
Well, it means that if you just take a look at the appointments of top commanders a few nights ago, you will come up with the idea that Tehran is preparing for a U.S. large-scale attack. This, and Iran has been saying, and also it has shown through these appointments, that it will be more offensive in nature if it comes under attack this time. So we will see a large-scale war that will go well beyond the region. The theater of this war will be beyond this region. And these appointments, as well as what the statement of top Iranian military official, General Sanai Rad, today also confirms this fact that everyone believes that the U.S. is preparing for a war.
Michael, what do you think of that? And also, I mean, Mostafa from Tehran was just mentioning these appointments that we've seen, right? Khamenei has approved a sweeping kind of reorganization, appointing people who are described as hardliners to IRGC and security posts. Is there something to be said about the timing of all these changes?
Yeah, look, I think that the US is certainly building up its options. And a couple of people I spoke to yesterday noted that their relatives had been called up from the US Air Force to go into the region, that they were expanding the numbers of personnel in the region, which obviously is a sign that there's some kind of build-up, but for what, we don't know. My assessment as it currently stands is that the US cannot invade Iran and hope for any sort of victory. And I think we've already worked out, after 6 months of a lot of bluster and rhetoric from Donald Trump, he threatens and he shouts and he makes all these sort of, promises that he's going to obliterate everything, and then nothing happens. He backs down, and then we go back to negotiations. So I don't know if there's going to be an imminent invasion, but there's certainly some evidence that they're building up. With regards to what the Iranians are doing, yes, I think that there is a movement towards a more hardline position, but at the same time, I think that the most capable commanders who have survived have been promoted, and that's what you're seeing.
All right, we'll leave it there. Michael Stevens, Mostafa Khoshcheshm, thank you both. Thanks for joining us on Al Jazeera.